Hello and welcome to my Maritime book column. I'm Martin Wiedemann, and although many of the book recommendations I'm going to make are from a Danish context, I will have some international volumes and titles that you can find in foreign language also, in either English or German. This today's special is about the double ender, which is the traditional boat type of Scandinavia, but you will find double enders all over the world, and it seems that within the designing community people tend to get inspirations from all over the place. So a few years ago I was trying to look up the only book written about the double ender in Denmark, which is the book about the spidsskatter. It was quite hard to find, as it was out of print, and it took me 6 years to find it in a used bookstore. And by the way, I can recommend antiquariat.net, which is a very good source for used books, as well as apebooks.com that I also frequently use. However, this lovely little book, it has its shortages, and I was hungry for more information about the history of the double ender and more specific details. So that hunger led to, in cooperation with my friend Uwe Grefer from Hamburg in Germany, that we decided we need to write this book since we wanted it ourselves. So that was our primary motivation, really. And it turned out with this result. So this is with a circle in mind. The English title is not yet decided upon, but it will be published sometime next year, I think. So this is the continuation of the first book, and it emphasizes the history of the modern double ender in Scandinavia. While doing the research for this book, I came across a number of sources, and some of the inspirations also mentioned in the book came from some of the first pioneers. Like I should mention Bernard Moitessier, The Long Way, about the famous double ender Joshua, and Bernard Moitessier's 1.5 circumnavigation of the globe back in 1968, 1969. Really a great book. It's very poetic, and it has a spiritual quality also. And it's very interesting to dig into being at one with the sea and with yourself in a small boat without any means of communication whatsoever. So this is really an extraordinary, great book to read. Also, we have in Roskilde in Denmark, we have the Viking ship museum, which is very interesting, and I think it's a source of vast information and inspiration if you're into boats, and especially since the direct origin of the double ender as a boat type is the long ship, or the Viking ship. So they have they have published many books in the museum, but this is actually one of my favorites. So here you find a little story about most of the boats built by the museum, which is a working museum. So you can actually see how they built boats now, and with lovely pictures in it also. And they're all double-ended, almost all. In Danish print, White Sails, which is an old book from the 40s. This is also great because it has some basic information about the double ender as a type. The Danish class double ender, to be more precise, and it's made by Einar Olufsen. Highly recommendable, and this is not so hard to get if you want to buy it. Also talking to Jan Ebert, who is a naval architect and designer from Scotland, from the Isle of Skye. Learning from his inspirations, I came across an English designer and artist called Albert Strange, and he did a lot of canoes, sailing canoes, and some would be small double-ended yachts. And then, of course, I should also show you this book. This is about the life and the designs of Jan Ebert, and on the front page you can see one of my favorites, a small fairing type dinghy, and this is an excellent book, very interesting. Among my favorite subjects when I read maritime literature is Antarctic expeditions, and of course I've read about both Scott and also Shackleton, and the Shackleton expedition has been a tremendous personal inspiration also. And the German explorer Arvid Fuchs, he has followed the footsteps in the wake of Shackleton, which is also the title of the English volume, but this is the German original, Im Schatten des Pols, and this is a really great book because he had a copy, an exact copy made of the lifeboat James Caird, with which Shackleton and 4 of his crew members set sail for South Georgia to find help and to rescue the remaining part of the crew on Elephant Island. So they did an ocean voyage in a very small double-ended lifeboat, which had been built with one planking more and totally decked, but in horrible circumstances. This is really a remarkable feat. Not only that Shackleton did it once, but that Arvid Fuchs managed to do it in a fairly authentic manner also, without too much modern comfort. And the copy of the James Caird you can see in the Maritime Museum in Hamburg. So not so long ago I came across this volume, which is about Shackleton's boat, and this is the story of the James Caird, a little bit from the expedition and the remarkable feat of rescuing the entire crew of the Endurance, but also the history since. So the boat is still existing, and you can see it in England in the Maritime Museum. Last but not least, during our research for our book, I came across a Danish, almost unknown Danish naval architect called Knud O. Nielsen, and he migrated to America in the early 1900, and he made some of, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful double-enders that I've ever come across. So the book Worthy of the Sea, which is a tribute to his legacy of yacht design, made by Maynard Bray and Tom Jackson, is really remarkable. Lots of design drawings and lots of great pictures also. Some of the pictures from this book you can also find in our book, because the author was kind enough to allow us to make use of them. So that about covers today's topic regarding the double-ender. Our double-enders are mainly we mainly focused in the book on the designs of Peter Brun, and within Europe and Scandinavia, the speckhugger at least is known by many people, but also the grinde, the kaskelot, and the marsvin, all named after the Danish names for whale species. So they're also called the whale boats, colloquially. But if you want to learn more about other recommendations, book recommendations, stay tuned and call back sometime, and I'll find another topic. So this is all for now. So bye bye, and thank you for listening.